Albert Einstein, born on March 14, 1879, in Württemberg, Germany, and died on April 18, 1955, in Princeton, New Jersey, US, was a German-born physicist who is famous for developing the special and general theories of relativity. He won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921 for his explanation of the photoelectric effect. Einstein is generally considered the most intelligent physicist of the 20th century. Einstein's parents were simple, middle-class Jews. His father, Hermann Einstein, was originally a salesman and later ran an electrochemical factory with little success. His mother, the former Pauline Koch, ran the family household. He had one sister, Maria, who was known by the name Maya, born 2 years after Albert. As per available facts, it is believed that two wonders deeply affected Einstein's childhood years. The first was when he saw a compass at age 5 for the first time. He was surprised that invisible forces could turn the needle. This would lead to a lifelong fascination with invisible forces. The second wonder came at age 12 when he found a book of geometry, which he read end to end, calling it his sacred little geometry book. He used to go to Luitpold Gymnasium for school studies, but Einstein often felt that he did not like the place and was unwanted in the Prussian-style educational system that didn't support creativity. Due to this, he was not able to do well in class and exams. One teacher even told him that he would never do anything in life. Yet Einstein was impressed by another young medical student, Max Talmud, who often had dinner at the Einstein home. Talmud became an informal tutor, introducing Einstein to higher mathematics and philosophy. An important turning point occurred when Einstein was 16 years old. Talmud had earlier introduced him to a children's science series by Aaron Bernstein, a popular book series on physical science, in which the author imagined riding alongside electricity that was traveling inside a telegraph wire. Einstein then asked himself the question that what would a light beam look like if you could run alongside it? Have you ever thought something like this? If yes, then you are also a genius like Einstein. Now, coming back to his question, light were a wave, then the light beam should appear stationary, like a frozen wave. Even as a child, though, he knew that stationary light waves had never been seen, so there was an opposite situation. Einstein also wrote his first scientific paper at that time, The Investigation of the State of Ether in Magnetic Fields. Children, if you also find a question or query disturbing you, then you can also read about that and write a note or summary on that. It will help you. Einstein's education was not as smooth as his father's business repeatedly failed. In 1894, after his company failed to get an important contract to electrify the city of Munich, Hermann Einstein moved to Milan to work with a relative. Einstein was left at a boarding hostel in Munich and expected to finish his education. Alone, sad, and afraid of the rule of serving military duty when he turned 16, Einstein ran away from hostel 6 months later and landed on the doorstep of his surprised parents. Fortunately, Einstein could apply directly to the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School. In 1911, following expansion in 1909 to full university status, it was renamed the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich without the equivalent of a high school diploma if he passed its stiff entrance examinations. His marks showed that he excelled in mathematics and physics, but he failed at French, chemistry, and biology. Because of his exceptional math scores, he was allowed into the Polytechnic on the condition that he first finish his formal schooling. Einstein had said that his years in Zurich were some of the happiest years of his life. He met many students who would become loyal friends, such as Marcel Grossmann, a mathematician, and Bessot, with whom he enjoyed lengthy conversations about space and time. He also met his future wife, Mileva Maric, a fellow physics student from Serbia. After graduation in 1900, Einstein faced one of the greatest crises in his life. Because he studied advanced subjects on his own, he often cut classes. Due to this, some professors didn't like him, especially Heinrich Weber. Unfortunately, Einstein asked Weber for a letter of recommendation. But Weber didn't give him the letter and Einstein was rejected in every academic position that he applied to. He later wrote, "I would have found a job long ago if Weber had not played a game with me." In 1902, Einstein reached perhaps the lowest point in his life. He could not marry Maric and support a family without a job, and his father's business went bankrupt. Desperate and unemployed, Einstein took small jobs tutoring children, but he was fired from even these jobs. The turning point came later that year, when the father of his lifelong friend Marcel Grossmann was able to recommend him for a position as a clerk in the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. About then, Einstein's father became seriously ill and, just before he died, gave his blessing for his son to marry Marek. For years, it was biggest pain of Einstein remembering that his father had died, thinking him a failure. Einstein's job at the patent office became a blessing. He would quickly finish analyzing patent applications, leaving him time to daydream about the vision that had obsessed him since he was 16. What would happen if you run alongside a light beam? While at the Polytechnic school, he had studied Maxwell's equations, which described the nature of light, and discovered a fact unknown to James Clerk Maxwell himself, namely, that the speed of light remains the same no matter how fast one moves. This violates Newton's laws of motion, however, because there is no absolute velocity in Isaac Newton's theory. This insight led Einstein to formulate the principle of relativity. The speed of light is a constant in any inertial frame, constantly moving frame. During 1905, often called Einstein's miracle year, he published 4 papers in the Annalen der Physik, each of which would alter the course of modern physics. Production and transformation of light, in which Einstein applied the quantum theory to light in order to explain the photoelectric effect. If light occurs in tiny packets, later called photons, then it should knock out electrons in a metal. On the movement of small particles suspended in stationary liquids required by the molecular kinetic theory of heat, in which Einstein offered the first experimental proof of the existence of atoms. By analyzing the motion of tiny particles suspended in still water, called Brownian motion, he could calculate the size of the jostling atoms and Avogadro's number. On the electrodynamics of moving bodies, in which Einstein laid out the mathematical theory of special relativity, does the inertia of a body depend upon its energy content? Which showed that relativity theory led to the equation E equals mc squared. This provided the first mechanism to explain the energy source of the Sun and other stars. Do you know? Other scientists, especially Henri Poincaré and Hendrik Lorentz, already had pieces of the theory of special relativity, but Einstein was the first to collect the whole theory together and to realize that it was a universal law of nature. At first, Einstein's 1905 papers were ignored by the physics community. No one was giving any importance to his theory. But one physicist, Max Planck, the founder of the quantum theory, showed interest in his theory and brought it forward. Soon, owing to Planck's supporting comments and to experiments that gradually confirmed his theories, Einstein was invited to lecture at international meetings, such as the Solvay conferences. He was offered a series of positions at prestigious institutions, including the University of Zurich, the University of Prague, the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, and finally the University of Berlin, where he served as director of the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Physics from 1913 to 1933. In November 1915, Einstein finally completed the general theory of relativity, which he considered to be his masterpiece. In the summer of 1915, Einstein had given 6 two-hour lectures at the University of Göttingen that thoroughly explained an incomplete version of general relativity, as there was missing necessary mathematical details. Later on, his friend Hilbert completed those missing mathematical details and submitted, and Einstein's theory was accepted widely. Today, physicists refer to the equations as the Einstein-Hilbert action, but the theory itself is named solely to Einstein. Einstein's work was interrupted by World War I. After the war, 2 teams were sent to test Einstein's theory of deflected starlight near the Sun. One set sail for the island of Principe, off the coast of West Africa, and the other to Sobral in northern Brazil in order to observe the solar eclipse of May 29, 1919. On November 6, the results were announced in London at a joint meeting of the Royal Society and the Royal Astronomical Society. Nobel laureate J.J. Thomson, president of the Royal Society, stated, "This result is not an isolated one. It is a whole continent of scientific ideas. This is the most important result obtained in connection with the theory of gravitation since Newton's day." Almost immediately, Einstein became a world-renowned physicist, the equivalent to Isaac Newton. Invitations came pouring in for him to speak around the world. In 1921, Einstein began the first of several world tours, visiting the United States, England, Japan, and France. Everywhere he went, the crowds numbered in the thousands. En route from Japan, he received word that he had received the Nobel Prize for Physics, but for the photoelectric effect rather than for his relativity theories. During a visit to California, Einstein was asked to appear alongside the comic actor Charlie Chaplin during the Hollywood debut of the film City Lights. When they were mobbed by thousands, Chaplin remarked, "The people applaud me because everybody understands me, and they applaud you because no one understands you." Einstein asked Chaplin, "What does it all mean?" Chaplin replied, "Nothing. In December 1932, Einstein decided to leave Germany forever. It became obvious to Einstein that his life was in danger. Einstein settled at the newly formed Institute for Advanced Study at Princeton, New Jersey, which soon became a famous place for physicists from around the world. Einstein was granted permanent residency in the United States in 1935 and became an American citizen in 1940. Einstein was on vacation when he heard the news that an atomic bomb had been dropped on Japan. Almost immediately he was part of an international effort to try to bring the atomic bomb under control, forming the Emergency Committee of Atomic Scientists. In 1952, David Ben-Gurion, Israel's premier, offered Einstein the post of President of Israel. Einstein respectfully declined that offer. In April 1955, Einstein experienced internal bleeding caused by the rupture of an abdominal aortic aneurysm, which had previously been reinforced surgically by Rudolf Nissen in 1948. He took the draft of a speech he was preparing for a television appearance commemorating the State of Israel's 7th anniversary with him to the hospital, but he did not live to complete it. Einstein refused surgery, saying, "I want to go when I want. It is tasteless to prolong life artificially. I have done my share. It is time to go. I will do it elegantly." He died in the Princeton hospital early the next morning at the age of 76. During the autopsy, the pathologist Thomas Stoltz Harvey removed Einstein's brain for preservation without the permission of his family, in the hope that the neuroscience of the future would be able to discover what made Einstein so intelligent. So, there you have it. Albert Einstein, the man who showed us the universe is a wilder place than we ever imagined. And that's why he said imagination is more important than knowledge. Do you have such curiosity and love for learning? Now, it's your turn. The universe is still full of mysteries waiting to be discovered. Who knows, maybe the next mind-blowing scientific discovery will come from a curious you. So keep asking questions, keep exploring, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe for many more wonderful stories on great people of the world.